do believe my in-studio guest here in Baltimore, were you with the network, Jason La Canfora, in 2008 by that point in time, or not yet?
I think I got there in 2009. I remember one in Cleveland where Scott Hansen and I froze like never before. I thought I was going to lose an extremity that night. And Brady Quinn beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they carried him off the field. And I think they sacked Ben 9 or 10 times. It was a weird game. That was so cold.
That was the night, I do believe, that Ben Roethlisberger had the high ankle sprain in the first half.
Yes.
And we thought, okay, he's done for the game. And Marshall Faulk at halftime said, I bet you he's coming back out.
Yeah.
Because that's the type of guy that Big Ben is. And then we saw it again coming up, just last weekend. I was reading your stuff on CBSSports.com. Jason La Canfora, CBS NFL Insider, Baltimore, Maryland guy here in studio in person, which I appreciate. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is a home game for me. This is wonderful. It's great to see you.
Your column all last week was talking to the Ravens, saying, we've seen this movie before. We're not going to fall for the okie doke. Of course, he's going to be out there. And he was. I don't know if it was really him as the problem last week for the Steelers. Jason, what do you make of the 4-4 Pittsburgh Steelers right now?
If we would have had this conversation a month ago, remember they were 4-1. They had just destroyed the Jets and the Chiefs by a combined score of 78-20. Le'Veon Bell had a game under his belt.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, that's the one team that can push New England for the first seed.
Me too.
Now they lose this week. If Baltimore wins tonight and Cincinnati wins coming out of a bye, Pittsburgh's in third place in their division and struggling to get in the playoffs. It's hard to figure. Sunday was Ben 100%, maybe not, but there was no one medically all week saying you can't play. They left it up to him. He took it down to Sunday 60 minutes before kickoff when he finally tells Tomlin in the hallway, it's definitely me. I can go. The offense was off kilter. Look, Antonio Brown's averaging 12 yards per catch for the season. Le'Veon Bell doesn't have a touchdown. These are not new things. This has been going on.
Crazy.
It's hard to figure, but it's their reality. They're out of sync. They're off kilter. They look lethargic. I mean, you'd think they'd come out of the bye with a chance to put the nail through Baltimore's heart. They beat Baltimore last week, and it's over for the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about Harbaugh's head here. It would have been 5 straight losses. Can they even beat Cleveland? Now, we'll see. I think Pittsburgh's the more desperate team against Dallas this week. I think Pittsburgh's in that paradigm Baltimore was a week ago. And I think Pittsburgh finds a way to win this game. But, boy, if they don't, look out.
People have been talking about John Harbaugh's head here? Because I know Bisciotti loves him.
He does. I mean, there's conversations about, remember, this was a 5-11 team last year. And if they would have lost to Pittsburgh, and that's 5 straight losses, and then, you're playing on a short week, who knows, anything can happen in Cleveland. I mean, there's certainly people looking at it saying if this team doesn't improve, if they don't have a strong second half, then is it Ozzie? Do you go to Ozzie and say, for years we told the coach, the coaches have been firing coordinators and doing all these different things. Does Ozzie need to shake something up? Is Ozzie ready to go? Is it time for Eric DeCosta?
Wow.
What would that DeCosta-Harbaugh dynamic be?
Mm-hmm.
And is that, I don't know. Is there anything there?
And that was interesting that was on the line here.
I just mean in terms of fans, it's a weird market, Rich, because I think Harbaugh's a hell of a coach. I think if they ever wanted to move Harbaugh, they could trade him for a bunch of draft picks. He's coveted around the league. But locally, it's like in Buck we trust, and Buck Showalter gets this pass, and he hasn't done anything in the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Harbaugh's won a Lombardi, and man, every week it's like there's a segment out there that's pretty vocal that is kind of ready to jump on him all the time.
John Harbaugh of the 4-4 Baltimore Ravens taking on the 0-9 Cleveland Browns tonight on Thursday Night Football. And then you mentioned how Big Ben, it was left up to him as to whether he could play and his readiness and his health, and he told the coach. Same thing with Romo in Dallas, right? This week in Pittsburgh. Same exact scenario. Oh, no, hold on a minute. The exact opposite.
Yeah.
What is happening in Dallas right now, best you can tell?
Dr. Jones has cleared him, and General Manager Jones feels like he could be an option, and owner Jones, who, is the same person but wears many hats, has never closed the door to the GM Jones of saying, this is Prescott's team and it's over. I mean, until or unless there's a declaration by Jones himself that, you know what, I've seen enough. He's our guy. He's our guy in the regular season. He's our guy in the playoffs. Tony's a class individual. Tony will support him mentally, physically, emotionally, but Tony's going to be on the sidelines, and we're rolling with this kid. Until or unless that happens, then Tony Romo has a very strong chance to play unless these guys run the table. Well, I don't think they're going to run the table.
We had Eric Davis on the show yesterday, and he said there does not need to be a proclamation by Jerry Jones. And I told him that I thought there needed to be, and then I kind of sounded like, not to get into the political arena, but a lot of the media of saying, hey, you need to proclaim this because it feeds into our narrative that we're talking about it, and thus it needs to be attended to, right? So Eric thinks that Dak's the starter, and there doesn't need to be a proclamation that Dak's the starter, and that even if Dak does have a game in Pittsburgh for all 4 quarters like he had in 2.5 quarters against the Eagles,
right,
it's going to be Dak Prescott again, and that Romo's doesn't need the proclamation publicly to be made the backup, is what he said. Well, I wonder what you think.
I think what he's doing has brought the best out in Dak. So I think he has no problem continuing to go with this sort of door ajar policy because the kid's playing well. And I don't think Tony needs to hear anything because Tony knows that Jerry thinks the world of him. There's people in that building who feel like as good as we've been offensively, we could be more multidimensional, more downfield, using all quadrants of the field, not as based in the middle between the seams with Beasley and Witten, that they could be even more functional with Tony. Is that
person Des Bryant?
I think Des would be of that mind, I mean, you see Des here and there, but you don't see that connection, that willingness to chuck it up there for Des in different situations. Not that Des is a malcontent. Look, there's more goodwill there than there's been in a long time. Mm-hmm. But things can change quickly in this league, and all I'm saying that it's going to be Jerry's call. And until Jerry hears himself say, this is no longer Tony Romo's team, there is a part of Jerry who thinks this still could be Tony Romo's team. If it's about managing the division and winning the division and getting to the playoffs, I get it. If it's about playing 3 potentially quality defenses in January and winning those games when they're going to take some more things away, then what is the calculus then? I don't know.
7-1 Dallas Cowboys at the Steelers at 4-4. That's a marquee game this week if there ever has been one. I'm assuming Buck and Aikman will be in Heinz Field.
You would suspect.
Coming up this week. Jason La Canfora of CBS joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What is the Arizona Cardinals up to? Because they're coming off their bye, right? Tyrann Mathieu banged up. Mm-hmm. They're taking on the 49ers, which means that Larry Fitzgerald has been inserted into my fantasy lineup this week.
Yeah.
Are they the 3 or 4 win team in the NFC that we're not paying attention to? Could Washington be that? Philadelphia, the Saints? Let's suss out the back end of this I guess the caboose of the playoff picture right now.
I mean, I think injuries will probably tell a lot of this tale. Carson Palmer, is he an ascending player or a descending player? And given the limitations of that offensive line, I think descending. I mean, I don't think there's much debate. And the right tackle's been getting completely overwhelmed at times, and then the left tackle got hurt. Mm-hmm. I mean, is that a brewing Minnesota situation? And can that defense swing the equilibrium and the pendulum far enough the other way to offset some of the limitations in the offense? You're right. This week it shouldn't show up. I mean, you get off the team bus, you're good for 500 yards against the 49ers. They should run it down their throat.
This would be the turning point, I think, for thinking that the Cardinals are just – I'm still waiting for them to push the pedal to the metal and be a major NFC contender. Still waiting for that. I haven't seen that yet, and we're waiting to see if Green Bay is going to be doing that too. Is Mike McCarthy in trouble in Green Bay?
That's another one where I think where I was talking about Baltimore. If this is who they are and they stumble along and they're 8-8 and it's in a year where Minnesota, let's say, collapses and Green Bay wins the division at 9-7,
or Detroit wins the division.
I'm sorry, I meant to say Detroit at 9-7,
right? And
they're 8-8 and they miss by a game. I don't know that everything's as it is currently. Does that mean Ted Thompson? Does that mean Mike McCarthy? Does that mean Elliott Wolf, who is going to get a GM job somewhere and didn't really think it was going to be there, but. And they never would DeCosta him. They would never put it in writing and come out and say, you're the heir apparent. So most people I talk to figure he's going elsewhere. But do they sit there and say, well, wait a minute. You know what I mean? We have gotten a little stale. We don't have the depth we used to. We don't have the quality of player we used to. The quarterback has to be transcendent for us to win now versus just good. Do they say it's personnel? You know, that's a different situation. Obviously, you got Mark Murphy and a board of directors.
That's what I'm saying. Who makes that call?
My understanding is, and that board has changed a lot from 6-7 years ago. It's not a lot of the same guys. So I think status quo won't resonate there the way it may have even 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, Mark Murphy goes to the board and says, "Here's I've taken everybody's temperature. I've done exit interviews. Here's the direction I think we should go in," and then they vote. So
are you saying that Mike Del Tufo, and who has how many shares do you have, Mike, of the Green Bay Packers organization?
I actually I have 2. I bought 2.
So
I don't believe that gets you a voting interest. That's not a voting stake.
I don't get to vote? I get the packet all the time.
You've got social media. I'm sure they all follow your Twitter. Just tell them what they think.
I can totally do that.
Brockman and Law have zero shares. So they have as much.
They have as many as Del Tufo.
As Del Tufo.
Yes, that is even math. My abacus says that all is equal.
So the 2 votes doesn't equal like 1 electoral vote?
How much does 2 votes cost you? That, I mean, what you want to talk about scams?
Each. They were $2.50 each.
Dollars.
You say a scam, but it's way better. It's way better, Jason, than PSLs. You know?
Oh, dude, yeah.
PSLs
no argument
is
there.
The biggest scam going.
It's in the
sports.
thousands.
Oh yeah. For the new stadium out here, it's going to be unbelievable.
Oof, I don't even want to think about that.
Unpack the poll question one more time here, Brockman, before we take our break, and we'll come back and talk some more NFL as well as the Orioles. With our man.
Head over to the app.
Do we have to?
Jason Lockenfora.
Hit RichEisenshow.com. We're talking college football, Jason. Which team currently in the top 4 most likely to be left out? Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, Washington, or we added none of the above? Like, do you think this is the 4 that plays for the national championship?
Think about that, Jason Lockenfora. When we come back, we'll update that poll question. Call us at 844-204-RICH. We will take your phone calls here on the Rich Eisen Show. Brady Quinn will be joining us later. I will be telling you, Law, how you need to root for your Big Ten football play from here on out as we discuss not only the teams that may not be in it in the quartet, but which teams below the quartet have the best chance to come up and join them by the end of the college football season. All that's still to come here on the Rich Eisen Show. The 2017 Honda Ridgeline, let me tell you, are you a truck driver at all, Lockenfora? Are you not?
Should I not say the name of another company who I have?
You do?
I have
because,
like a...
whatever it is, whatever that
it's
other
company is. It's not a truck. It's truckish.
This is
what I need to get into.
It's a soccer mom car, Jace? Because I have a soccer mom car.
I have a very outdated, like 12 or 13-year-old soccer mom car. Well, and I'm proud to listen to punk rock in it.
Trust me. Go to your local Honda dealer and test drive the Ridgeline. I'm telling you.
Yeah?
It's incredible.
Maybe I'm ready for an upgrade.
You need this because it is upgrades all over the place. It's the smartest truck on the road. It's the toughest truck on the road, and you're tough.
Tougher than I look.
Listen, I've seen you go chest to chest with Florio, okay? I've seen that personally.
That's not exactly a heavyweight fight. I mean, neither of us are really come on. Who are we putting the fear of God into?
The Ridgeline it's brilliant because it's got all the bells and whistles of all Honda cars right there in the truck. And then it's the ultimate tailgate machine. You can plug a 55-inch television into it. There's a dual-action tailgate. There's an in-bed truck audio system. There's the trunk of the
Can I live
truck.
in this car? That sounds better than my house.
You can. It's the most spacious interior in its class as well. So go test drive the Ridgeline.
I'm on it.
Trust me. 2017 Honda Ridgeline. Everyone should do it at your local Honda dealer. Back with Jason Lockenfora, 844-204-RICH. We'll take your calls as well. And we welcome back here in Baltimore, Maryland, where CBS Sports NFL insider Jason Lockenfora is here, and he's kindly taking part in today's Insider Report brought to you by the Honda Ridgeline that he's going to go test drive as soon as this baby's all over. Not only is this truck innovative, it's roomy, it's comfortable. In fact, it has the most spacious interior in its class, so you could make it your new office.
I need an office. Like I said, upgrade.
Head into your local Honda dealer today to test drive the Ridgeline. Justin Houston activated from PUP yesterday. Now that could be a seismic event in the National Football League, American Football Conference West, if not the whole AFC. How up to speed will he be? Is he going to be out there this week against Carolina?
It's possible. Their best case scenario, what I reported before the season, was week 9 is what they were shooting for. It wasn't hard and fast, but that's the first real opening,
right,
that they saw. That's when they thought it could be realistic. He just started practicing this week. It'll come down to, do we want to use him in special situations now, or do we let him get another week of practice under him? The idea that he's going to come in right away and be Justin Houston, whether it's this week or next week, I think is a little naive. But certainly as you get into Thanksgiving and the stretch run in December, he should have his legs under him at that point. And D Ford's come along and Hali's hung in there. And that defense, Marcus Peters, is they lead the league in takeaway. But see, you talk to scouts now, no one's throwing, he's not showing up on film anymore because they're just not
going his way.
They're just going after the gains or whatever, the slot guy.
But again, no one talks about Kansas City because I don't think anybody believes
they're not sexy.
Well, it's also they can't go point for point in this quarterback-driven era. It doesn't seem like it. And if they have to, I think they're still huddled up in the AFC divisional playoff right now in New England, needing to get in the end zone and another possession under their belt. I mean, it just does not seem like that they could, if they go into, and again, they've already gone into Oakland and won.
Yeah.
And I do believe it's
held on to beat San Diego early.
Let me just do that in my
head.
head. It's 4 Thursdays from now. Next week we're in Carolina for Saints in Carolina. Then it's Thanksgiving night. Then we're in Minnesota for Dallas, Minnesota. Then it's Raiders at Chiefs.
Okay.
December the 8th. So, but you have to figure, will they be able to go against Derek Carr and Amari Cooper and those guys, or if they have to go in New England? I mean, how real are the Chiefs is basically what I'm asking.
I mean, everyone will comment about this week, and I think you're alluding to some of their issues, time management and what have you, and urgency and whatever. And Andy Reid takes a lot of heat for that at times, but I think he's done a hell of a job getting this team to this point. Their best player on defense has not played. Their best player on offense has 12 touches. Right, Jamal Charles all season I think he has 12 touches, and they're still here in what may be the best division in football.
Right.
So now, at the end of the day, I think they're a 10 or 11 win team that don't have a quarterback who's nearly gifted enough to win a couple of times in January. And at some point, when do they come to that decision themselves? And, is it Tyler Bray or is it somebody in next year's draft? The guaranteed money on Alex Smith is paid after this year. I'm not saying he won't be back, but they need to figure out an upgrade there at some point. They're like, look, they could beat anybody on their day. They could probably lose to. I mean, look, Jacksonville could have really beat them last week.
Very close. But they were also on quarterback number 2, running back number 3. And to your point as to how good they are at 6-2, Jason Lockenfor on the Honda Insider segment. Halfway through the season, who are the hot coaching candidates you're hearing about? Either in college or pros.
I don't hear a lot in college. I mean, everybody would want the guy in Stanford. Nobody thinks he's leaving Shaw. Nobody
As you know,
thinks he's
I've
leaving.
said it before. If I'm owning a team in the NFL, if suddenly I get to own a team, if suddenly a gajillion dollars dropped in my lap.
It could happen.
I don't think so. But a gajillion dollars drop in my lap, I would tell David Shaw, whatever you want, name your price. I want you as my coach. So you don't think there's an opportunity?
No, I mean, that's been floated to some degree.
What if the Rams knocked on his door?
I don't see it.
You don't
I
see
don't
it? Okay.
see it yet. I don't think he's remotely there yet.
So who are the hot coaching candidates that you're hearing about?
Josh McDaniels is going to have his pick of a job. I mean, the fight for Josh McDaniels will be who gets the first interview, because he's not going to do 6 or 7 of these things, and it's going to be the bye week, and it's going to be a Dan Quinn situation. You're going to have to get him first. You're going to have to sell him that you're the team for him, and then you're going to have to tell him we'll wait till the Super Bowl because it's probably going to take that long. And I think there'll be an owner or two who's ready to do that. I think Kyle Shanahan is someone else who obviously he has the pedigree from his dad. He's been humbled. He's gone through some issues. He's broken off and become his own man. Even last year, the way it fell apart, if he keeps that thing together, if Matt Ryan has the season he's having, that's someone you have to keep a lookout for. I think Jim Schwartz, in terms of the guys who've done it before, well, and Josh has done it before too, but it's been a long time.
So where are the jobs going to be open? Could LA be one of them? Because you keep hearing that there's an extension for Jeff Fisher that's sitting in the drawer, and that you can't bust it out in the middle of a 4-game losing streak.
Well, and if it's in the drawer, at some point, why is it not out of the drawer? Because the team should know if he has a mandate. He should know if he has a mandate. The fans should know if he has a mandate. Like, I have a hard each week that goes on, and he continues to play. Case Keenum tells me there is. There might be some hand lotion in that drawer next to Stan Kroenke's bed. There might be a Bible. There might be whatever. You know what I mean? It might be reading material. I don't know. Like, he might keep his laptop there. But I don't think there's a contract there. I'm not. I mean, if it is, somebody needs to bring it out and wave it. Is it stashed in the glove compartment of his Lamborghini and he forgot it's there? Maybe it is.
So where are the job openings going to be? Jason Where's it going to be?
I think there'll be plenty. There always are.
Do we need to
Jacksonville, I think, is a fait accompli.
They just gave him an extension.
Doesn't matter. It's 1 year. It's nominal. Jacksonville is that. It's just a matter of is it the coach and the GM. I have a very difficult time seeing a scenario in which Jacksonville
Jason,
is open.
who was the coach that brought Cleveland to Baltimore and did that transition? Because everyone's criticizing Fisher. He maybe hasn't achieved as much as he has, but he took the Oilers.
No, it was Butch Davis. Butch Davis isn't going to be walking through that door.
Butch Davis took over Cleveland as the expansion team.
But what I'm saying is,
we had Marcia Broda here in Baltimore.
How difficult is it to move a franchise, be in a facility? Their practice facility was 60 miles south of where they're playing.
And you're right. And that's a big part of why it happened. People forget Fisher's been a part of this, right? He was a part of the Houston move.
Yeah,
and then they were on one side of the state, and then they moved again, eventually to Nashville.
And then if we want to continue on with this analogy, I've got, again, Jason Lockenfor for a few more minutes here in the Honda Insider Report on the Rich Eisen Show from Baltimore, is that, Fisher kept Steve McNair on the bench for quite some time, and look how that turned out. Why, best you can tell right now, is Jared Goff not playing football in Los Angeles right now? Why?
It's as simple as they feel like Case Keenum gives them the best chance to win.
Come on.
What do you, what, like,
come on. But, I mean, and I understand that we're all spoiled in this day and age that there used to be a time when Fisher was in Tennessee, when Cincinnati did sit on Carson Palmer, when Big Ben came in and blew us all away coming from Miami of Ohio and kind of broke this whole concept that first-round selected top-of-the-draft quarterbacks could sit in season. I understand that. But come on. Why? How is Jared Goff from Cal when Wentz is faring as well as he is?
That's what everybody's saying.
As well as he is. And I know those are situations that were brought upon the team, that the team didn't choose to go in those directions. And that if Romo didn't get hurt, Dak Prescott would be sitting and rotting on the bench right now like everybody else, quote-unquote, seasoning. Why is Goff not playing in L.A., best you can tell?
Because the coach feels like he needs to win games, and Case Keenum gives him a better shot to win games. It's not that is Jared Goff better than Cody Kessler or is he better than Simeon. He's not worried about that. He's sitting there saying, we need to win some games. We're in a losing streak. I believe he's fighting for his job, and he's going with that veteran who he trusts more than this unknown kid. And is part of it that they don't want to expose the kid as well? I mean, you have to infer that. But
wow,
Jeff Fisher may not have heard the chance for Jared Goff last week.
Mm-hmm.
The owner did. So at a certain point, there's a conversation that will have to be had about we're trying to get 89, 90,000 people to show up to these games.
Mm-hmm.
Our present is pretty bleak. When do we go to, when does the future start? Because I think the owner is going to be pretty inclined to see the future start soon.
I would think so. Thanks for coming in here in person. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming to Baltimore.
No, please.
Are we going to talk baseball?
Chris Command Center. Hold on, please. Law, please. Let me do my job here. Okay? Law, Brockman, you may not see it. He doesn't have the physical scars, but he wears the mental scars of not having Zach Britton summoned from the pen, and then the ultimate indignity of Britton not even being named a finalist for the American League Cy Young Award, and yet one of the finalists for American League Manager of the Year was a gentleman who did not summon Zach Britton from the pen.
No, he did not.
He does wear those scars, guys. Am I wrong?
No, I literally, before I came over here, I was on the phone with my financial advisor about stuff unrelated to that. And then we ended up literally going back over that game for like 15 or 20 minutes to the point where I was like, all right, we both have to go. But that's a very fresh wound. Still, that's a wound that will not get healed unless
now normally
they win something.
Law, you would have already teed up a soundbite of that.
What, Joe Angel's call of the home run?
Yeah, I typically, Jason, you know who you are. You're an Orioles fan, and you know your team lost. So we like to.
No, I get it. Yes, you would not be the first people to play this call for me.
And before we let him go ahead and ask him the question about tonight's game, Law, that you want to ask him.
Fourth quarter, 20 seconds on the clock.
Barn burner for sure.
Somehow the Browns are up 4. And Flacco's on the 22-yard line with fourth and goal because he's been sacked for -12.
Right, he's down 4. Do they just take a knee and concede? Is that what you're going to ask me?
Nope, he goes back, he rolls right, and he's looking in the end zone for a receiver, and a adult beverage comes flying down in, and
it doesn't happen here. This isn't Toronto.
How do you tweet tonight?
This isn't Toronto.
What's your
tweet?
This is not What's your
Toronto.
Twitter game tonight? Because we remember your Twitter.
There's no bottle. First of all, the beers are in a cup, so you're not going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But by the way, your Twitter game. Were you?
How inebriated
were you hammered?
I didn't think
your
that
spell check was off. You know
I did
that.
not think that I was that far. The next day, even people I was with, I was afraid to look, and people were like, I had people check for me, and they're like, bro, it really wasn't that bad. I don't think it was that different than most games for me. I really don't.
Jason, one of the first things we did when we got to work on the Rich Eisen show the next day, the Chris Command Center and I did you see Lock and Four's Twitter feed?
They could have hurt Kim. That could have been bad. I will say, a week later, one of the guys I was with, who was an NFL agent, when he's like, bro, I finally looked at the receipt from last night, guess how many beers? I was way under. It was an astounding amount of beers for not that many people.
So scale of 1 to 10. How hammered were you then?
I don't think I. Well, you're asking the wrong guy.
Would you have hugged?
I need to go outside myself and look from above. I really lack.
It's not a lie.
The cognitive function to answer that
you
correctly.
believe.
Probably. I still don't think I don't think I did anything that bad. I mean,
No, you didn't do anything that bad.
Jason. I like how you didn't delete them. Like you kept them.
Yeah,
you owned it.
You owned it.
yeah,
You owned it.
I said like H bleep. Right, but is that really that bad in this day and age?
It was your kind of
the
your spelling.
president-elect says so much worse than that. I was kind of I'm covered saying
listen,
H bleep.
It was as if sometimes the vowels were removed from the words you were trying to type. You know what I mean?
I guess I could lie and say I was like I have a BlackBerry, so I can't lie and say I was dictating
Are
it.
you serious?
Yeah, I got I need the type thing. I got fat fingers.
Great to see you.
Hey, my pleasure.
So
Thanks for having me.
pop your pod before we go.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks. If you're
Go for it.
This week we had Ernest Biner on to preview this game.
Hey.
Yeah, EB, former Raven, former Brown.
Sure.
So yeah, the Be More Opinionated podcast, www.bmoshow.com. I almost forgot my own.
There you go. No, it's okay.
And I'm totally sober right now. Not a natty bow in me. Now, tonight could be a different story.
Jason La Canfora of CBS here.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.